Welcome back, everyone. It is time for more Neckbeard stories with your friend Moonhorse. This was actually posted on my subreddit, so I'm excited. I really like reading stories there. From Reddit user, good evening, Clarice. I remember you, hey. My ex, the Neckbeard. I'm already sorry. Hello again, Moonhorse. Hey! Thanks for reading my previous story, and I'm glad you liked it. Well, thanks for writing your previous story, and I did like it. Now, high school might have been awesome. Now, high school might not have been awesome for me, but there were 3 major events that shaped me while I was there. The story is about 2 of them. One which sucked, and the other which has made my life better. This story did negatively impact my life, but if I can get a jar of lemonade out of life's forest of lemon trees, then I don't care. Buckle yourself in. This is a long one. Oh boy. Let's introduce the characters. Myself, once again, call me Clarice. Alright. I have blue eyes, skin reminiscent of someone who never goes outside, short brown hair, a deep voice, and a tendency to wear boxy suits and pants that hide my figure. Beneath the suit, I have an hourglass figure. This comes up later. I'm a super nerd. I love Star Wars, memes, certain anime, and basically anything else, which automatically makes me neckbait. I also love to write novels and sing. Those are important. Alrighty. Moose, my best friend, basically my sister, loves Supernatural, which is why I call her Moose. She calls me Squirrel. See, I would just have gone for Rocky and Bullwinkle, but that's because I'm old. Taller, curvier, with long blonde hair and blue eyes, and her appearance is deceiving, however. She's secretly an athlete with a mean streak. I should know. She's chased me around by the locker room with a binder once. Basically, don't make her mad. You wouldn't like her if she's angry. Jesus Freak, JF. A firecracker of energy and a 4'11" body. Tiny Filipino girl with long black hair, glasses, and some sort of religious jewelry on her at all times. Very Catholic. Even more so than myself, which is saying something, coming from someone who wants to be the next Tolkien. It's also surprising that you write stories for my channel, because I'm probably the filthiest motherfucker you've ever met. Creedbeard, my ex. Named as such for his love of Assassin's Creed. He was obsessed with it, taller than me, with curly hair, no beard, but and a surprisingly good sense of hygiene. The only beardy thing about his appearance was him being overweight, but I don't judge on that. And as we have all learned, dear children, it is not the fedora they wear, but the fedora they exude. Troublemaker, my prep year babysitter. Not really, but she acted like it. Very short, with long brown hair and an innocent demeanor. But don't be fooled. She had a love for chaos, which she used to her and my own advantage. Finally, Techie, my current boyfriend. He's the major event that made my life better. Oh, that's sweet. Tall and thin, with brown hair and a big smile. Freakishly smart. He opens his mouth and his tech talk flies right over my head. Loves Five Nights at Freddy's, piano, and filming. Might have Asperger's, but doesn't take away from his super sweet and respectful personality. He sounds like a cool guy. With that whole spiel done, let us start the story. I met Creedbeard when he was a prep and I was a freshman. Initially, he was quiet, but generally respectful. I considered him something of a friend. But cue my surprise when he asked me out for a date over a Google Doc. That's unique. I talked with Moose, and since she got no red flags from him, she said, yeah, sure, you should accept. So I said, yeah. That led to 3 years of mistakes. Our first date was simple, a high school basketball game. Started off alright, got some pizza and Doritos, sat down to watch. When I started talking to Creedbeard, he quickly went into talking about Assassin's Creed. Yeah, I played along, thinking he would switch topics. He didn't. He just kept going on and on about the franchise. I got nothing against someone having a passion. I often can't shut up about my writing, but he wouldn't let me get a word in edgewise. Eventually, I just sat and watched the game. Moose was playing, so I just kind of started cheering for her. Then I felt something on my leg. I looked down, and Creedbeard was rubbing my upper thigh. He kept getting closer and closer to my crotch. Not on the first date, dude. Not on the first date. And I kept shifting uncomfortably, because I didn't have the courage to tell him, stop. Moonhorse says stop. When the game ended, we went home. I was relieved to be away from him. I should have broken it off with him right then and there, but I was dumb and thought he'd understand his mistake. Yeah, no, he didn't. Things kept getting worse. He told me he loved me incredibly early into the relationship, which gave me pause. He often got very physically close to me. I really don't like people doing that, unless it was, my dog or getting cuddly or something. He made this cheesy joke about us being opposites, since he's always really warm and I'm perpetually cold. I have crappy circulation. I am jealous of your circulation. I hate being hot. At our end-of-year picnic, he dragged me away from a friend to get to some isolated spot with him. I tried to explain that I wouldn't be seeing my friends until next school year, and I was going on a scuba trip, but he insisted. He kept trying to get close to me, and I kept my guard up until, my mom whisked me away to safety at the end of the trip. Sophomore year rolled around. The creep factor went up a notch. Previously, Creedbeard had shown no interest in choir, but when he learned that I was in choir, he joined very swiftly afterwards. He kept trying to sing whatever voice part I was, whether I was in soprano, tenor, bass that day. At JCL, this big Latin convention, I auditioned for the talent show, but I didn't get in. I was really sad since I've been practicing so hard for it. Creedbeard kept trying to comfort me. By this, I mean attempting to give me a massage while I was hunched over, watching the other performances. I did not like this, but once again, I couldn't bring myself to tell him to stop. Later that night, at the end of convention party, he dragged me into the back of the ballroom. We sat side by side, just talking initially, before he began kissing and sucking on my neck, as if he was trying to give me a hickey. Ooh. I kept very stiff, not reciprocating at all. Ooh! And he just kept going. Quick edit, he also bought me expensive gifts as if to justify his behavior, one of which being this really expensive looking necklace, which I would end up losing at a convention. Throughout that year, Creedbeard started revealing his neckbeard tendencies more and more. He talked about anime, specifically ones where everyone was topless and the girls had big boobs. He also started talking more about his wealthy parents and flaunting his wealth. The worst thing that he did that year was at homecoming. Whenever we slow danced, his hands would hit closer and closer to my butt, and his eyes went right down my chest. Ugh. I wanted to tell anyone, but with no luck. Junior year was when I finally told someone. A bunch of situations led me to this conclusion. First, at JCL, Creedbeard tried to force me to do a duet with him. I love Queen. Fuck yes! My favorite song by them is Somebody to Love. Double fuck yes! Because it's so much fun to sing. That it is. Creedbeard begged me to do a duet with him at the JCL talent show, and I gave in. Before the auditions, however, I fell very, very sick, with my stomach wanting to dissolve within itself. I was forced to quit the audition and leave the convention. Strangely, my sickness vanished when I left the convention building. I don't get performance anxiety, and I'm no stranger to duets, so it wasn't that. Looking back on the incident, I think maybe it was God telling me, don't make that mistake, sweetheart. There is a higher power, and he says, run from the beard. Incidentally, it's also me. Prom also sucked. I was excited for it. Creedbeard took me to a really fancy country club, making it obvious that he was rich. Treated me like a princess, and for a moment I forgot about all the creepiness. But during prom itself, Creedbeard pulled me to the back of the room, began talking about borderline pornographic anime again, and when I tried to talk to Moose, he wouldn't let me. We slow danced at the end of the night. He sprung a kiss on me, which he wanted to be our first. The thing is, he tried to French kiss me, tongue and all, and that grossed me out, so I recoiled. At this time, he'd been getting very handsy, groping my ass and trying to stare down my exposed chest. Oh, classy. Quick edit, I also spent some time with my friend Cass that year. She had dated Creedbeard in the past, and I learned that he broke up with her because she was, I think, bisexual? I can't remember. Oh, he sounds like a winner. But there was one dance that made this all horrible. Creedbeard pulled me away from the dance floor, trying to talk with me. Now, all that week, he'd been trying to lift me into the air, claiming he was proving his strength or something, I don't know. I didn't care, but during this dance, Creedbeard tried to get me to go into the basement with him. I repeatedly said no, until he picked me up and tried to literally carry me into the basement. Oh. I wrenched myself out of his arms, sat back on the bench. The whole situation led to a panic attack, prompting me to call my mom to get me out of there. I bet it did. That's fucking horrible. I finally told Moose, and she was livid. She wanted to kill Creedbeard, but I told her I'd break up with him. I swore up and down that I would. I also told JF, and we'd recently become friends, and she was also pushing me like, yeah, break up with him. Moonhorse is also pushing you to break up with him. This whole time, I was working on my first big novel. Now, writing for me is like a therapy session. It's personal. It's something I don't do in front of others. I often hide away during my writing session. Creedbeard kept finding me, trying to read what I was writing, and made it very, very clear I didn't want to talk or show him my writing, but he insisted on looking. This led me to go to weird places in the school to hide from him. One such place was the library annex. I never went up there, so I figured he wouldn't find me. Now the tables were full except for one, where there was a seat right next to this boy on his computer. I sat next to him and noticed that he was programming an FNAF fan game. I was also big into FNAF, so that boy and I began chatting about the franchise. We eventually began coming back to that spot to talk more. As you might have guessed, that boy was Techie, my big event, my lemonade from life's lemon orchard. Aw. He was a freshman, but we were the same age since I skipped 2 grades and he skipped none. I had a crush on him hard, realizing that this was who a true man was, not some nice guy, but like an honest dude with like a big heart. In senior year, I finally had enough. I decided I'd break up with him. And part of it was due to Troublemaker. When I met her, I knew she could be a handful. Whenever she was about to do something sneaky, she got this devilish little smile on her face. She had carpooled with Creedbeard, and she was victim to his NSFW talk. The fact that Creedbeard was this disturbing around little kids kind of set me off, especially since I kind of want to be a child therapist, so I know what that kind of stuff can do to a kid. Oh. From then on, whenever Troublemaker asked if she could paint makeup on his arms or mess with his stuff, I told her fire away. Petty? Maybe. Fun? Hell yeah. Now, JF had made a deal with me to kind of force me to break up with this guy. I've been trying to get her to go to my local comic expo, but she refused until I broke up with Creedbeard. So I did. Pulled Creedbeard aside, basically said I was done. He tried to set up this deal that if we weren't dating anyone in the future, we'd get back together, and I said no, and I left him for good. Moose, JF, TM were all really happy for me, and I was ecstatic. Moonhorse is also very happy for you. I could do what I wanted. My grades went up, my self-confidence rose, and I started talking with Techie more. Techie made my senior year way better. He let me talk with my friends and didn't do creepy stuff. He kept his hands to himself. When we danced for the first time, he kept his hands hovering over my back until I told him, it's okay, dude. And he kept his hands on my back the whole time instead of trying to grope me. He didn't treat me like a princess, but like an equal, and I loved it. He didn't need to buy me expensive gifts. He alone was enough. Even TM started shipping us. This whole time, she made it her personal goal to torture Creedbeard. I love that girl. On my 16th birthday, I took Techie to the Butterfly Conservatory and asked him to prom. He said yes, and I was over the moon. I was on the moon. I wore this beautiful pale blue sheath dress and a butterfly pin to symbolize the conservatory. During prom, Techie actually let me talk with Moose and JF, and he kept his hands to himself. Everything was perfect. Aww. When I went up to the bar to get some lemonade, however, who did I see but old Creedbeard? Out of nowhere, he asked for a dance for old time's sake. I was stunned. I couldn't talk. Then Techie storms over and glares at Creedbeard and almost growls like, dude, she doesn't want to dance with you. I couldn't believe this. Techie was very thin and was not aggressive, but I didn't know that he was a brown belt in Taekwondo, and he wasn't afraid to use it. Creedbeard backed off, and prom went on as usual. At the end of the night, Techie and I were totally official. And that's my story. Creedbeard and I don't interact anymore. Moose and JF are still friends with me, and they've been so supportive through the whole situation. TM has kept being a menace to Creedbeard, which I've kind of encouraged. My mom learned all of Creedbeard's atrocities and has been trying to tell his parents. Techie and I have stayed together, and he's even helped me with my writing. So in a way, I'm glad I met Creedbeard, because if I hadn't, I never would have met Techie. TLDR, I dated a Neckbeard for years, and out of that I met my current boyfriend. Sorry this was long, but I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, don't let your memes be dreams. Okay? Edit. Meme King saw the previous story. He loved it. Hey, Meme King, how you going? Another edit. Ton of my friends saw the Meme King story, absolutely adored it. Glad to carry on his legacy. Well, I'm glad I was able to help bring that legacy to the internet. That was a really, really funny story. This story actually reminds me of, I forget who said it now. I thought I knew, but no, I don't. I don't know. I remember this saying, but for the life of me, I can't think of who actually said it. Something that you touched on there right at the end, where you're like, if it wasn't for Creedbeard, I wouldn't have met this wonderful person that I'm with. And that's how I tend to look at a lot of my exes as well. I went through some really shitty relationships in the past, but if it wasn't for those, I never would have learned what I know about myself, how to counteract the negative parts of myself, and how to wind up with somebody who actually matters and really cares about me. To touch on some other things, though, yeah, personal space is a thing, and he needs to learn that if he ever actually wants to have a real, normal relationship. But then again, I don't know if that's... See, that all depends on personality. Maybe, again, because it's high school, and I really hope that Creedbeard grows the fuck out of this Neckbeard shit. Grows out of that. Because in high school, you make a lot of stupid mistakes, and a lot of times when you go off to, college, or you get older, and you have to go into, the real world of, working and actually being an adult, your perceptions of things change. You grow and become a different person. So a lot of people grow out of their Neckbeard phase, and that's why I like these stories, and I will very much read a lot of these stories, but that's honestly my thought on a lot of stories when somebody says, they know this Neckbeard, and they are currently in high school. It's well, hopefully they'll grow out of that. It's the, shall we say, advanced cases where shit gets a little more troublesome. It's guys who are, in their 20s and 30s who are still rocking the neckbeardery that's just kind of well, that's certainly a thing, isn't it? I guess that's gonna be forever. Thank you all for watching this. I really hope you enjoyed this. I actually enjoyed reading this. Before I dip into the whole Inslate thing, Clarice, you said that you're a writer, and it shows in a lot of these. I encourage you to continue writing, because a lot of you guys know that I only got started doing this when I actually got back into writing and trying to be more creative. And I haven't written anything in a very long time, but yeah, I encourage you to keep going, because you obviously have a talent for it, and it's really good. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and if you want to send in your own stories, I'll read them. You can send them to my subreddit at r/Moonhorse Stories, and I will, read them. That's what I said. I don't know why I said that twice. And if you want to support this show, I have a Patreon you can donate to, and I also have a shop in which I sell t-shirts. I said stell instead of sell. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. I'm a little out of it. I'm still getting over whatever the sickness thing is that I had. I was not down with that sickness. I was not. Anyway, that was a lame joke. I'm going to end this here. I'll talk to you guys in the next episode. Okay, I love you. Goodbye.